General quarters, all hands man your battle stations.
Broadcasting live on WNN 1470 AM, 95.3 FM, iHeartRadio, and the World Wide Web. This is Make America Think Again with your Google Blacklisted host, Tom Trento.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, Will Robinson. Danger.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Trento Hour. We are on a mission to make America think again and a spiritual battle for America. We have some great guests. Here we are. It's Friday, 38 days to the election till November 3rd. So here we are on WNN, iHeartRadio, 1470 AM. You could also find us on 96.9 FM or 95.3 FM. So today our guests are Ronnie Wexler. He is the principal owner of Heritage Study Programs. And we're going to have conversations around what the Middle East would look like under a Biden presidency versus a Trump presidency.
Yeah, that's scary.
And we also have the founders of the Alliance of Blacks and Jews, Julius Jackson and Pastor Billy Thompson. So we have a great show lined up. And I'm going to kick it off to Tom Trento.
Hey, Susie Gold. You got a Z in your name. That's pretty cool. Susie.
Z.
Susie Gold.
Yeah,
I want
no
to see
S-I.
Tommy
no.
Trenzo or something. Good morning, everybody. Last day of the week, and everything's going very well. The show is going great. Brian and Steve, wonderful. Preceding 3 hours, we thank them for handing over their audience, and then we take them and help them understand exactly what's going on, even more so, and what they need to do, and that is evangelical Christians in the state of Florida need to get out and vote on November 3rd. That's the pool of people who are not voting, and they should vote, and they better vote. Frank Wright was great yesterday, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was a great show yesterday.
If you're tuning into the show early on theunitedwest.org, you may get a warning on the website. Disregard it. The website's safe. But to time everything out, because we're in a remote studio, we're broadcasting back to the main studio and all this stuff, you may see us kind of floating around, flopping around here. That's okay. Or you'll see a countdown to the show. That's all normal. And so just hang in there. Also, the music is good, isn't it?
The music is great.
That's John Guandolo, our brother in arms, understandingthethreat.com, Understanding the Threat. And Guandolo has an organization. He's a former FBI agent, former Marine. He has an organization to alert and train people on the Marxist and jihadist threats in America. And our team of producers will put in our description on YouTube of this broadcast the connections to get in touch with John Guandolo, Understanding the Threat, because we have so many people working behind the scenes to bring you this show. Right, Mary?
Hi, Mary.
Yes, Tom.
Okay. There's our team of producers. You know, so she's rocking and rolling. Money-wise, we've been making appeals for money because we need money. We need $25,000 by the end of the month. We made a little 3-minute video kind of detailing why we can't communicate to people. We're being shut down by big tech. I emailed it on our email blast program yesterday and sent it to 50,000 people, and 30,000 got blocked by Verizon. 30,000. I tried a second attempt with a different sending email, and that got blocked. So it's very, very difficult to communicate to people. We have the radio show. We got to keep this thing going. We need money to pay for the radio time. When you buy it like this, you have a tremendous amount of freedom. We have to follow the FCC laws and all that, and we do, but we have freedom to use this radio broadcast as a megaphone, and it goes on a terrestrial. That means an antenna, 50,000 watts, goes over 3 counties and further north from Miami north. You got to keep us on the air. We need your donations, please. We're going to try to get this little email, a 3-minute video out that explains a bit more. But before we get into our first guest, it's kind of humorous that Donald Trump, and these people understand this, these people being the mainstream media, the broadcast companies, they understand Donald Trump, but they can't just can't get beyond themselves. He does a throwaway line when a guy in an accusatory, like cross-examining, are you going to accept the results of the election? That guy pointing his finger. And, Trump is Trump. He goes, yeah, we'll see, we'll see. And their heads explode, right? It's a throwaway line. He keeps them off balance. This is what he does. But conversely, Joe Biden wrote $100 million check to defeat the president here in Florida, which is the main battleground right now, folks. Then he throws in another $16 million to buy the votes of felons. And Ashley Moody, you heard that. What did she say this morning?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Attorney General, go ahead.
Yeah.
You listened to it.
Yeah, I mean,
there
it was a question as to whether that's even legal. It is it is a form of buying votes. So, is that legal, and is that going to tip the balance? When he's saying, we had Bubba on yesterday. It was Bubba saying, he's so glad that his debts to society was paid monetarily. He served in prison. But here he is, he's out. And, do they really think that is a vote for Biden? It sounds like they're just trying to buy those votes. But as we heard from Moody this morning, it doesn't matter whether it's for a Republican candidate or a Democrat candidate. It is a form of buying votes. So they're looking into the legalities of that.
Yeah, she said that Florida law says you can't directly or indirectly influence votes. Now, this is going to be an interesting battle. She has the FBI doing an investigation and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
Or just intend to.
We're keeping our eye on all of that. Also, breaking news overnight, like anybody's surprised. Turns out the FBI used what's called a subsource. They haven't identified he or her yet. A subsource to validate the Steele dossier, which was a joke to start with. Turns out the subsource that the FBI used was a Russian agent, a Russian spy, for 10 years.
Yeah.
And they knew they had opened a counterintelligence case against this individual. So they knew this person was working for the Russian government, but they used the veracity, the validity, the statements of a Russian agent to try to prove that Donald Trump is a Russian spy. I mean, this is worse than spy versus spy.
Yeah.
This breaks my heart in the fidelity, integrity, bravery, the integrity part, FBI, fidelity, bravery, integrity. Breaks my heart in the integrity part of my favorite law enforcement agency, the FBI. Well, before we get on with Dr. Ronnie Wexler, I got to tell you, Susie, we have some holidays coming up.
We do.
This weekend we have Zoom Kippur is coming up. And then in October we have Zoomaween.
We have Sukkot.
Zoomaween.
Oh, after.
And then we have in November we have Zoom Giving. And then we have Zoomas in December. So all the Zoom holidays are coming up, and everyone's going to...
We have Sukkot. You forgot about Sukkot.
Sukkot.
The Feast of
Zoom
Tabernacles. The
Zoom Koth.
Zoom
Everything's
Sukkot.
being done by Zoom. We are coming to you by Zoom today. The United West here, Tom Trento, your host. Let's bring on... Is he here with us?
Yes.
I don't see him floating. Usually I see
Celebrating
a picture.
Zoomica.
Dr.
He's on.
Zoomy Wexler. Where are you, Dr. Wexler?
There he is.
There he is. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning,
Morning,
Ron.
good morning, Tom and Susie. How are you?
Good morning. Nice to see you.
We're good. We're good. What a day. What a world. You're Israel. You're an Israeli, born there, fought there, worked there. You're as an Israeli American. Your country is shutting down once again for the COVID-19. What do you think? What's going on over there?
Well, the claim, evidently, people saying that we opened up a little bit too early. I'm not sure that's the case or not. Unfortunately, we have many different groups in Israel that don't adhere to directions very well. For instance, 20% of Israel are Arabs, and their season for weddings happened to be May to end of August. And for them not to invite anybody from the village to a wedding is considered impolite. So when they make an invitation, it's a grand invitation, and more than likely thousands and thousands of people come together. And they're one part of the situation that created this tremendous problem now with Corona. The other group is ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel that have the same thing. When they have a wedding, the whole world is invited, basically, and they mingle.
Yeah.
And they mingle and they dance, and so that's the other thing. Also, one of the major said problems now in Israel is, you said just a few minutes ago, this is the period of the high holidays, and Yom Kippur, which is the most sacred day on the Jewish calendar, happens to start on Sunday night. Every Jew in Israel goes to synagogue. Even atheists claim, proclaim atheist in Yom Kippur, go to synagogue. Why? Don't know. It's a tradition. Maybe they don't believe in anything, but it became tradition. So everybody goes to synagogue, and synagogues will be closed. They don't allow any gathering of more than 20 people, and it's absolutely crazy. Now, the craziest thing is they will not stop demonstrations. So everybody is demonstrating in Israel now. And they expect to have thousands of people in Jerusalem demonstrating. So you don't go to synagogue, you don't go to wedding, you don't go anywhere, but you are allowed to demonstrate. The joke last week was that many people went to the beach with signs, bathing suits with signs. And when the police asked them, why are you at the beach? They said, we demonstrate.
That's pretty good.
That's actually very
That's
smart.
a smart way around it. Yeah. Well, we'll keep our eye on that. But Ron, you have built a career academically and then professionally in bringing Jews and Christians together, and you've taken over 100,000 Jews and Christians to Israel. And for many years, our organization goes with you, and we expose them to the military, the political side, the cultural side, the intelligence side, all of that. And right now, we, as you know, the United West, we have a campaign. How many days left? 38, 39
38 days.
38 days
election day.
to mobilize 1,000,001 evangelicals in this state to vote intelligently, which means voting for Donald Trump. At this point, the divisions are so clear. And we have a lot of evangelicals who listen and follow us. I want you to frame your comments on the question I'm going to ask you about the Middle East in the context of waking up evangelicals who have in their heart and in their theology the support, defense, and continuation of the state of Israel, to share what the Middle East is going to look like, what Israel is going to look like with a Biden, Harris, Pelosi, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Linda Sarsour administration.
Well, I prefer to say what's going to be in the Middle East with our president still in power, because this is literally latter-day prophecies. When you talk about the blooming desert and peace among nations and people yearning to come to Jerusalem, they will hold on to the Jew to come to Zion. This is what's happening in the Middle East now. I can tell you that before Rosh Hashanah, that just was about a week ago, which is the beginning of the year, the head of the year, there were thousands, literally hundreds of thousands greetings sent from the United Arab Emirates, from just citizens on social media to people in Israel, in Arabic, even in Hebrew in some cases. So what we're seeing here is an incredible a movement to change the Middle East. The mistake that was done concerning the Middle East by all presidents here since the beginning of the State of Israel in 1948 was to try to solve the problem between Palestinians and Israel. Well, many times we talk about what is Palestine, what is Palestinian, and we're not going to go into it again now. But President Trump had an unbelievable idea, and they say we can tackle a problem. Let's bypass it. You know, when you drive on the road and there's a rock on the highway, you don't try to push it. Why don't you just bypass it and continue your way to the destination that you need to arrive at? And that's exactly the idea that came up here. Luckily, we have some nations in the Middle East now, the Emirates and their leaders who see intelligently what needs to be done in order to give more relief to their people, to Israel, and create a Middle East that was never there before. I believe that the Middle East is going to be a bloc, like the European bloc, which countries help countries, and everybody puts into the mix what they can in order to elevate the lives and economies and so on and so forth. It is unbelievable that I'm following it on a daily basis, and I hear people from Kuwait, and Kuwait is a country that said we will be the last one to have a treaty with Israel, is coming online now, and they talk about a possibility. Wow. We talk about Saudi Arabia. We talk about Oman. We talk about Morocco. The entire Arab or Muslim nations, the Sunni nations, actually not just the Sunni, because Qatar is talking about a possibility too, and Qatar is a Shia country. So there is something that President Trump created in the Middle East that was never there before. And it's a logical thing. It's what I said before, the metaphor. You know, you drive the highway, there's a rock in the middle. Why bang into it? Just bypass it. And that's exactly what he does. So I think that the Palestinians, and we can avoid the thought that there are Palestinians that their needs need to be addressed, are going to be addressed eventually by what's happening on the map, what's happening in the ground. Interestingly, I read that a couple of days ago that they Palestinians are now boycotting the Arab League. Is that insane or what? The Arab League was always used as a tool against Israel.
Yeah, right.
Palestinians, yep. And now the Palestinians are boycotting the Arab League. I mean, it's bordering joke, but that's the genius of Donald Trump. You know, no matter what you want to say about different things about Donald Trump, the genius about this plan is surpassing anything humanly possible to understand. So I think that's something that now moves in such direction, in such speed, that there's no turning back unless Trump is not the president. Yeah. And if this new group, no, not new group, the very old group that is trying to tell us that they're coming now with new thinking is coming to control, and Biden is president, and he's going to renew negotiations with Iran, this is going to be the end of a biblical prophecy. So if any evangelical groups are listening to me now, you and I and Tom and Susie and our entire great family here are actually living days of latter-day prophecy. Wow. of coming together. And God chose Donald Trump, good, bad, indifference, no matter what Trump is, God chose him for this moment, for this task. So we don't have anything to say, certainly not biblically, why God is choosing one man upon another to deliver what God wants to establish. So if we pray in church, in synagogue, for God's blessing, and God is giving us the blessing now, to Donald Trump, who are we now to say that we are going to be on God's way to stop the blessing from flowing and to bring us to such time as we now see possible, that until a year ago, we never thought are even possible. So that's my answer.
No, that's pretty amazing. And folks, Dr. Ronnie Wexler, he heads up Heritage Study Programs, the organization that we use to go to Israel on our trips. He's degreed in both Jewish and Christian theology. He spent a lifetime bringing Jews and Christians together, and gave a very interesting angle on a prophetic end, where the land is producing and flowing with milk and honey. And I'm still like, the Arabs really going to come along here, is going to game, but it's a new generation. People's minds change, and as he said, this new group comes in, which isn't a new group, it's an old group. They come in and cut a deal with Iran, and Iran gets strong, and the whole thing falls apart. The whole thing falls apart. Evangelicals, you got to get out. Ron, thanks much. Hang on, I want to introduce you before we let you go to Julius Jackson. We have him on, right?
We have Julius Jackson and
Yes, we
Pastor
do.
Billy Thompson.
Is Pastor Thompson with us too, or just Julius right now? I think just Julius. Julius, hi, it's Tom Trento here. We met the other night at the Jexit event, and we just had Dr. Ronnie Wexler on. Before we let him go, I wanted you two guys to meet. Ronnie, Julius Jackson is the founder of the Alliance for Blacks and Jews, and he sees a common heritage. He was one of our key speakers the other night at the Jexit event. Julius, say hello to Dr. Ronnie Wexler.
Hello, Dr. Wexler. I heard a little bit of your comments, and I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to meet with you.
So Jackson, it's a pleasure meeting you too, and I'm looking forward to hear what you have to say. And hopefully one of these days we're going to meet. I think we have a lot to share. I will take just a minute from your time. God had given me the gift of speaking in many Black churches around the United States. If you remember Dr. Miles Monroe.
Oh, absolutely.
Dr. Miles Monroe and I were partners. We had a ministry together.
Oh, okay.
So for 30 years, we traveled together, not only in the United States, but throughout the world. And obviously, many of the Black churches were among those that I preached on Sundays. So, and I'm a Jew. So it's a pleasure meeting you, and I'm looking forward to meet you in person.
Well, Pastor Thompson should be on momentarily, and my hope is that you'll catch a little bit of him. But he and his wife were very close to Miles Monroe, and I think that there would be a lot that you all will have in common as well.
Oh,
so I'm
absolutely.
looking forward. Yes.
Absolutely.
Small world. I knew about Miles Monroe with Ronnie, but the connection is wonderful. Ron, thank you very much. We'll catch up with you next week for sure. Julius Jackson, why don't you share a little bit about your organization? You remember you were there the other night.
Jexit, sure.
His history was makes the hair on your arms stand up, being chased by the Klan as a kid in St. Augustine, Florida. People don't realize Florida's a southern state. It's seceded. It left the Union. It fought against the North, So, Julius, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, two comments first. Number one, you mentioned founders of the Alliance for Blacks and Jews, and two key founders, Keith Wasserstrom and Liz Browser, I wanted to mention because, frankly, without them being involved as they have been, then we wouldn't have grown like we have. And so my simple statement is that Pastor Billy and I are two of the founders, as well as the two that I just mentioned are four of the founders, but there are many more. So I wanted to clarify that. Second thing is that St. Augustine is a beautiful place. This was many years ago, back in the 60s, 50s and 60s. And simply, I do want to say that it's much different now as it is many places. And I wanted to get those 2 points out. The organization Alliance of Blacks and Jews is really focused on building the kind of relationship that we had in the 50s and 60s. And simply there were opportunities that I had to be skinned, tarred and feathered, etc. But many of those opportunities were avoided because of people in the community that we could seek their assistance and we could seek refuge with that didn't look like us. And those were Jewish people in our community. And I happened to be at an event about, I think it was October, November, somewhere in that time frame, and met with Keith Wasserstrom, who was curious as to why I was there. And it was naturally, I called myself, as you might have noticed the other night, I had on a pink shirt. And so I try and wear something that distinguishes me from the other people. And so Keith noticed my pink shirt and said, "What are you doing here," so to speak? And I'm being facetious. He actually said, "What's the black guy doing here?" And I
Exactly. Yeah.
I attend many opportunities that I have, many meetings and events where the Jewish community might be having activities that I would like to get involved with. I actually spoke at the interfaith service about 5 years ago of Congregation B'nai Israel and Ebenezer Baptist Church for Martin Luther King's birthday celebration. And I learned then that there were only 15 million Jews in the world. And so simply it became an opportunity for me to try and give back some of those benefits to, well, give back some of the things that I wanted to give back for back in St. Augustine for the help that we received. And so I said, let's grow this number. And I learned that we had golden opportunities to expand our reach by doing things that were demonstrating the commonalities that we have as opposed to demonstrating the differences that we have. And so the Alliance of Blacks and Jews decided that we would come together, or the people decided that we would come together in an organization. We called it the Alliance of Blacks and Jews, and we're actually doing things now that will benefit both the Jewish nation, the Black nation, the white nation, the Hispanic nation, etc., but all for the benefit of everybody and this country. And so that's a thumbnail on our organization, only to say that we're seeking to create activities in communities where you can point to that demonstrate that these things have happened because of the coming together of the various nations.
Yeah, great work that you're doing, Julius. I'd like to welcome on, we have Pastor Billy Thompson with us, who is, as you said, a co-founder of the Alliance of Blacks and Jews. And here we have this shared history, and you are bringing people together and, you know, creating that cohesiveness. We have a shared history of oppression, of slavery, of genocide. And, you know, here we're putting, you know, we look at the past and we are moving towards a brighter future together, and we're stronger together. So welcome, Pastor Billy Thompson. So happy to have you on.
Let me interrupt you. Before we go further, I'm an evangelical Christian, and here's an observant Jew. So we got the United Nations here today.
Literally, that is great. Nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
And I wanted to also mention that Pastor Thompson also is a former basketball player. He played with the Los Angeles Lakers, the Miami Heat, and more, and also the Israeli basketball team. So, and here you are, you know, you saw then that there was a rise in anti-Semitism in the United States, and then we also are confronted with economic hardships in the Black people, in the community of our African Americans and Black population. So we're renewing our bonds. So welcome, Pastor Thompson. So share with us and how you went. Yeah. How did you go from basketball then to becoming a pastor?
Well, I just said I do. Not to my wife, Cynthia. I said it to God.
Uh-huh.
That works.
That worked.
I liked him before I heard he played for the Lakers, you know, so I was actually for him. He played for the Lakers. I can't, you know. I don't know. Should we disconnect him or?
Oh, right. Well, he played for the Israeli team too.
Yeah, well, you should love me, for the Israeli team, Hapoel Yerushalayim. But yeah, I was playing basketball all of my life pretty much since 8 years old, and got pretty good, and started playing really good in high school, became the #1 player in America, and went to University of Louisville. And from there, I went to the Los Angeles Lakers. I was able to make it into the NBA. And that was just a blessing of God. But while I was in Louisville, the University of Louisville, I just had a experience where I recommitted my life to the things of God. I grew up in church, but I wasn't living as if I grew up in church in college, my junior year. And that's when I rededicated my life. And at that moment is when I really knew that I'd probably go into full-time ministry when I finished playing basketball. So that's how I got into this position of being a pastor.
Uh-huh. That's great to hear, and the work that you're doing with the Alliance of Blacks and Jews is really phenomenal. Tell us more about the organization and what you're doing then to further our connection.
Well, when Julius approached me about it, it's the same thing that Julius pretty much said, is that we saw the rise in anti-Semitism. And being that I played basketball in Israel, in Jerusalem, I had a heart for Jews. I have a lot of friends that are Jewish and lived there for 4 years. And I just knew that there were Jews that love African Americans, and they love me. So, and not just because I played basketball, but just built relationships. So when Julius told me that was taking place, the BDS movement was taking place, I said, well, we need to stand up, because racism against African Americans has been going on for a very long time, right? Since we got here through slavery. And even now it seems that it has increased. And look at what has happened, broke out this year at the death of George Floyd, with not just America trying to deal with the racial issue against African Americans, but around the world. The whole globe has, what they say, awakened or woke to the fact that we've been treated wrongly. So African Americans and Jews have a history of slavery. I mean, just being the underdog, and we fight the same fight. So this was a no-brainer for me to get involved to help Blacks and Jews.
All right, let me ask both of you. We have this confusion. We have an organization called Black Lives Matter, and then we have an issue of human beings who are Black. How do you understand the distinctions, and help us parse the group and the cause? Julius, let's start with you, then we'll go to the pastor.
Thank you. First, what we try and do is stay on the positive side. We may have differences of opinions about how you approach things. We think our approach is really the best approach, and so we're going to follow that. Simply, that approach is that you find where you have common ground. You look at what the scripture says about activities. When you're in business, when you're doing things socially, etc., no matter what, you can go to that book and you can find how you're supposed to react as a Christian or a person who is following God's mandates. And so simply, that's what we do, we follow. And that eliminates us from being in a controversial role at the moment. Now, there will be times when we will have to deal with controversy, but we at this point are focusing on staying out of the controversial road, sticking with God's principles, and then let's see how we can maximize the viewership of us acting on those principles and have them follow us based on our actions as opposed to what we say.
Yeah, and I agree with Julius. We don't want to cause conflict. We want to just realize the reality of the love of God towards one another. And that's been my whole, my modus operandi from the beginning. Before I became a pastor, I would be in the NBA and I would just break up fights on the court. I'd be the first one to jump in there and break up the fights, man, because I knew that this doesn't belong on the court. We're here to play basketball. Same thing is that we're here to live, and anybody that has a problem with a Jewish person or an African-American, you're wrong. And we need to fix this. And how can we do this? So basically, Black Lives Matter, this movement is just turned into a cry because of the George Floyd of African Americans saying, listen, enough is enough. No more, and everything stops here. And I love the Jewish saying, this shouldn't be, never again, right? Never again. When you deal with the Holocaust, you always say never again. So it is now, African Americans really saying, hey, enough is enough. It stops here. And so we're doing everything that we can socially and economically to bring African Americans back up financially, economically, educationally. And we've partnered with some organizations in Africa to try and build up the diaspora here outside of Africa to work together to come back and work with Africans on the ground and really build those relationships, as well as working with our Jewish brothers here in the States.
I'd like to add quickly, and please give me 30 seconds.
Sure, yeah.
Pastor Billy last week, or early this week, I believe, signed the agreement with a group in Africa. And I don't know if you were familiar with the 1885, 1884 scramble for Africa, where the European nations, for the most part, split Africa up. But this group has been focused on reconstructing Africa. And I'm sure most people know that there are wide arrays of natural resources in Africa. And so the African group reached out to us about 3-4 months ago during the virus shutdown and simply asked if we would get involved with them. And they gave us the charge, and we saw the opportunity to bring the Jewish community to the table with us and enhance what we can do. And so we're nonviolent, fighting for economic empowerment, regardless of how your skin looks.
This is a breath of fresh air. We're so thankful to Michelle Terrace, Jexit, and Karen and Sophia and all the ladies and men in Jexit, finding you guys, bringing you to the event last week. The world is chaotic. You understand that. You're both very seasoned professionals. You have an amazing history, but you have a very laser-like focus on a positive solution based in the scriptures. You can't go wrong with that on the issues of racism and anti-Semitism. Before we let you go, I got a text from Dr. Ronnie Wexler. He wanted to talk with you, Pastor Thompson. So, Mark, if we can bring Ronnie back for a second, he had something he wanted to tell Pastor
Ronnie,
Thompson.
yeah.
Are you there, Ron? Ronnie's the Israeli American. And I think he heard you played basketball in Israel. Well, you're what? You're 6'7", isn't that your height now?
Right. 6'7", yeah.
6'7", yeah.
Yeah.
You probably went through life going, "Hey man, you play basketball? You play basketball?"
Yeah,
and you do. You play.
And then the other one is, I feel short around you. They always say that. And then I turn around and say, "Well, I feel tall."
There you go. My only problem, I'm 5'8", and I like because I drive fast cars. And how do you get in a fast car, a little sports car? Can you get in one?
I got in the Lambo one time, and
you couldn't get out.
It was a little tight. I was enjoying
a can opener to get you out.
Yeah. I was enjoying the speed. So.
All right, there you go. Ronnie, you had a question for Pastor Thompson.
Billy, it's been too long.
Hello, Ronnie.
It's been too long.
Manishma.
הכל בסדר, תודה רבה, שנה טובה.
Yes.
Oh, you guys know each other? I didn't know that.
You too.
We're great friends. Are you talking to Mr. Jerusalem here?
He speaks Hebrew.
This is a surprise. I didn't know this.
At the beginning of the program, I didn't connect, and I spoke to your colleague there, And then I said, oh my God, Billy is going to be on the show. I'm staying. And
Yes, thank you. It's good to see you, Ronnie. Amen. Awesome, man.
Great to see you. And obviously, we need to get together real soon. But I listened to what you had to say.
Yes.
And this coalition between Jews and Gentile, and obviously, you and I know that we've been doing it for many years.
Right.
And, I even mentioned Miles Monroe at the beginning of the program.
Okay.
And what you do is you're a soldier in a holy war, and you know, most Jews don't even know that people like you exist. And what I try to do here and in Israel is to let them know that we are not alone. Because when you said before, never again, there's another thing. We always in Israel and elsewhere in the world felt that we have no friends, that everybody is against us. And little do they know that we have a whole evangelical world supporting us, friends with us, and do anything in the world to help. So, me to you, thank you, and Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, you are so right. I mean, from the beginning, I had a heart for Israel. Being a Christian and going to Jerusalem was a blessing for me when God led me that way, my wife and I, to go and live there for 4 years. Now it turned into a spiritual trip, not just playing basketball, but being in the Holy Land, and got to really stand and for Israel and love the people of Israel, the country. And we're looking to go back to try and buy a place there so that we can just be in the land more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Speedily in our time.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, Ron, we'll have to get Pastor Thompson on one of our trips.
Absolutely.
And Julius, both of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is Zoom.
Well, this is a Zoom union.
union.
We're having a Zoom union here. This is great. Tom Trento, 9:45 in the morning. WW. I forgot we're on a radio. It's like we're all sitting around
Having a Zoom party.
at a barbecue, you know. This has
A
been
radio
great.
Zoom party.
Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful.
But Tom,
Well,
can I say this real quick?
Sure.
Ronnie does tours, and when I got back, my wife and I, we decided we would take tours, groups over there, especially African Americans, try and get them to get into the land who were Christians who never went over there. And we try and make it affordable and what have you so that they can actually go and see the land. So we've been doing that for about 5 years. And we've partnered with one church that goes pretty much every other year. And so we take about 45 people or so. So we've been doing that, and it's a blast. It's nice.
We'll meet you at the Dead Sea, and we'll go have a wonderful day on the beach at the Dead Sea.
Yeah, we'll float around all day.
We'll float around. So, you know.
Well, I'm having dinner with his group, not Ronnie's.
Yeah, I know.
He's a lot better than Ronnie's group.
We go every year, once or twice, with different groups, and we didn't go this year. Susie goes
But we're
many
going to
times.
go, right, Ronnie? We're going to go in May.
Yeah.
We had this year was a Jexit United West joint mission, and everyone is so disappointed we weren't. You don't realize how much you miss it till you don't go. You know, so.
Yeah.
But the world is what it is right now, and God is still in control. We can rest on that fact.
Yes, he
On
is.
that fact. So, all right, gentlemen, we're
Well,
gonna.
how
yeah.
can our listeners then reach
Yeah.
and find you, founders of the Alliance of Blacks and Jews? How can they reach out and find you?
Our website is abj2020.com, and easily 305-775-6449 is my direct number, and you won't have any chase around. And I do think that it will be mutually beneficial for Dr. Wessler, Pastor Billy, and you two to connect offline. There's some, just hearing what I've heard, I think there's some very good benefits to what I think we all want to see happen very soon. So please ensure that happens.
Will do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
sounds great.
And Michelle caused all this to happen,
That's
right?
Yeah,
Reaching
thank you,
out.
Michelle. I
Yeah.
know you're listening.
We got to get her and some of the other ladies here next week and get on the show. All right, gentlemen, we thank you very, very much for being with us. Ronnie, Billy, and Julius, you guys take care and keep praying. We got 38 days to make some good decisions. And
Yes.
You know, and even after that, your alliance, our work is going to go on. And next year, Jerusalem. I'll see you.
All
Jerusalem.
right. Okay.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thanks
That
so
was
much for
good.
coming on.
That was pretty wild.
great.
Yeah.
we
That's
need
our
to do
first
that
Zoom
more
union.
often.
That's our first Zoom union.
That was a Zoom union. Mark came up with that.
Zoom
That
union.
was great.
All
Mark.
right, Ronnie. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mark texted
Great
me,
having
goes,
you on.
we have a Zoom union going on.
That was great. Ronnie's always a welcome guest.
He's
too.
done so much work all over the place. He's done a lot of work in the black community through the years. And, a black guy, 6'7", walking around Jerusalem. I mean, come on. How many of them are there?
I went
Right?
up to one guy like that. I was met on a plane once. I go, "Are you a jockey by any chance?" He laughed out loud.
But that's my problem. I mean, 6'7" would be fun for a little while,
No,
but you
it's-
can't get in the cars. I like to drive at 6'7". That's
yeah,
for
I'm
sure.
6'2", and
That's
it's
big.
difficult
Yeah,
for
that's
me.
like, we need a bigger toilet. We need a bigger door. We need a bigger everything.
That's like one of those things looks good on paper. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Susie Gold, the end of the week.
Yeah,
What are
the
your?
end of the week? So here it is, Friday.
Let's reflect a little bit. Let me hear your reflection on. You like hanging out with me up here?
Yeah, I think it's been great. Yeah, I learned so much. We've had great guests on, and hopefully we're making a difference. That's the most important thing. To reach those additional 1,000,001 Christians, that they go out and vote intelligently. That's what this is all about. And that's why we do the volunteer work that we do. And, I've got to say, please go on theunitedwest.org.
Oh, you're going to do the money thing
Go
again?
to the
You gonna do the money
donation,
thing? Go
push
ahead,
that
do it.
button. A lot of people are well-intentioned, and a lot of people, you may shake your heads after what you hear on this show every morning. And, we're up against so much. We've got the COVID situation. We've got, the Black Lives Matter movement. We've got all the daily news that's just putting fear in everybody. And here we have an election that's really about good versus evil. And, you can make a difference by clicking on that button, donating to theunitedwest.org, and know that your monies are well spent towards this cause. So I can't impress upon everyone enough. Please donate. Give whatever your heart says to give. Give what you're capable of giving. And you know what? Whatever we have in our banks, whatever we earn for a living, whatever we have in monetarily is really a gift from God. Yes, you work hard. Monies come from God, and it's really our responsibility to make sure that we use that money wisely towards ourselves, towards our family, but also towards our community. And one way is to give through United West to help the community and help our country and help the world. So please donate be generous, please.
And Tom, I forgot that.
She's so good at that. Yes, Mary.
Talk to him about the 2 books we have on the website.
Yes, we have to do that, of course. Next week we have David Horowitz coming on, right?
Yes,
Tuesday, I believe.
Tuesday, yeah.
And he's written Blitz, which is how Trump is going to win by a landslide. He wrote it pre-COVID, but it's making even more sense now. And his other book, Dark Agenda, which is the effort by the secular element in the United States to destroy Christianity, the left, the Democrat Party. Both books, I think it's $40, Mary, and you get both books. Is that what the number is on our website?
Yes.
So you make a $40 donation to the United West. And I had somebody try to donate online yesterday, and they couldn't. The donation thing kept spinning around and doing stuff.
That's a problem.
And they contacted me and said, I'm writing you a check. So our website, just go to it. It's safe, it's secure. Let us know if there's any problems. But you can look on our homepage, theunitedwest.org, and there's the offer of 2 books, both David Horowitz, wonderful writer, very clear writer, very substantiated. He sources everything. And you want to read these, and they're easy reads. It's like 12-point, double space. They're easy reads and a tremendous amount of content. So go there, $40 donation. You get 2 books. What a deal. I mean, how can you beat that?
And you know what? And if for any reason that donation button doesn't work, or if it spins, the P.O. box number is on the site, and you can write your check. Just stick like the good old days. Put your check in an envelope and send it to the United West.
And I'm going to give them your phone number if you don't.
Go ahead,
I'll
give
give
my
them
phone
personal
number.
phone number, okay? And they can call Susie
I give my
Gold.
time. I give my laptop.
Yeah,
I give money.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is all for good cause, for not just a good cause, it's a great
We only got a
cause.
couple of minutes left on WNN. And what do we got next week? Who's
Next week
give us a
we have
preview of
Rogan
next week.
O'Handley. That's on Monday. He's the DC Drano guy.
Big-
So if you want to
big
hear
Twitter
more
guy.
about that, you've got to listen in. David Horowitz on Tuesday. We also have twice a week. Laura Loomer comes on. And then also we have a Republican Party candidate, a Republican Party representative who comes and talks to us about the Trump campaign. So that's twice next week, and Laura Loomer twice next week. We also have Frank Coconati.
Frank Coconati. You're going to love Frank
Yeah.
Coconati. Yo, Coconati, what's going on?
Yeah, so
Co-
he's part of a
I'll tell you
movement
about
to
him.
stop the taking down.
He's Coconati. He's an Italian guy from Chicago, and he got pissed off when the dopey mayor took Christopher
That's the
Columbus
guy.
down,
That's the guy.
and he formed a protest. And I saw it, and I contacted him immediately, and like we were like long lost cousins, right? And all of a sudden he's getting called a Philly, and all the Italian sections around the country. He's leading an Italian movement against Black Lives Matter, against everybody. Don't touch Christopher Columbus.
Right.
So we're gonna have a little preview with him next week, and then we're doing a Christopher Columbus special on Christopher Columbus Day, the 12th of October. And Coconati and his boys are gonna be there. You don't, as Trump said, you know, the Columbus Circle, they were going to mess around with Columbus in Manhattan on the Columbus Circle. It's a big circle, and Christopher Columbus is right there. I've been around it many times.
Yep.
He goes, and then the Italian people said, we don't think you want to mess around with Columbus at Columbus Circle, and nothing happened to Columbus. So, you know, you push these things too far. I heard somebody say in St. Petersburg yesterday, elderly, probably a 60-year-old lady, 65-year-old guy, having outside, because they got to sit outside, just sitting down. And these Black Lives Matter people come and grab a seat, sit at the table, put their bullhorn down. Yeah. The lady gets up, pushes the kid's chair over, right? You get out of here. She gets in an argument, and they start yelling at the husband, we're going to kick his ass over there. And, you know, it was insanity. Yeah. And then the commentator said, sooner or later, they're going to sit at the wrong table. And somebody's going to get seriously hurt, like shot. Yeah. And this is crazy. This stuff is crazy. You want more of it? Vote for Joe Biden on November 3rd.
Yeah,
this is the world you live
That's what the
in.
country will look more like.
I think we're
More
done.
of that stuff. But we also have on Thursday, next Thursday, we have Morgan Zegers, and she's the founder
She's amazing.
of Young Americans Against Socialism.
23-year-old young lady, articulate, hardcore, fact-driven. She will wipe the pavement with these socialist crazy people. She's very, very good. We'll have her on.
Yeah, great,
And look,
great
everything we're
shows.
doing, we're providing you information to make America think again and to vote intelligently on November 3rd, which means vote for Donald Trump. Come on.
Well,
That's right.
because of these hate-filled views that you guys have around the table up there and these hate-filled guests that are coming on, we've also been banned on Hotmail, and also Vimeo has pulled all our videos because of your hate-filled message. You
No,
believe
this is
that?
getting crazy.
Trying to
It's
shut
it's
us
nuts.
up.
It's nuts.
Hey, we need your help. You know,
Yeah.
the radio. Look, if our last hill that we stand on to fight is WWNN 1470, let that be, and we will fight
is our
to
hill,
our
right?
dying day.
This is our hill, really.
Yeah, this is our hill, so we ain't going anywhere. Goodbye, everybody. We'll
Bye,
see you.
everybody. Have a great day. Have a
Take
great
us
weekend.
out, and I'll add.
And a good new year for all of our Jewish
We
friends.
got to stall a little bit while the 6 guys back there run around. What a great week it's been.
What a team.
You have a
You know
wonderful
what the other
Yom
thing is, though?
Kippur.
Thank you so much. Well, you know, here we are. We have all these great guests, but what we also do is, depending on what's going on in the news, we'll get someone on even at the last minute
Boom.
to make sure
Breaking
we cover
news.
current information.
Yes.
So tune in next week, and thank you for that. For Yom Kippur,
Yom
we fast.
Kippur, Day of Atonement.
Yes,
So,
yes, very solemn.
so when
day.
you come back next week, you'll be like glowing.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah.
We're looking forward to it. All right, we'll see you. Bye-bye,
Bye,
everybody. Take it
everybody.
easy.